All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Natty News Daily. It has been a long time coming for me and Leroy to hop back on a podcast together. For those wondering, there is no beef. We are good. The crew is fine. We're just busy, busy people.
You wonder if
Um,
someone anywhere thought we had problems with each other.
oh, for sure.
Maybe
I
someone
can almost
somewhere was
guarantee it.
like, yeah,
Someone was reading into it way too much and then not realizing like I've got three kids and multiple businesses. You work multiple jobs and have a kid. You're coaching a bajillion people. Like Dan is off doing Dan and working through like a bunch of health issues. Like, yeah, it's and we don't make money for this. Are you kidding me?
we're just a
So
couple dudes.
yeah. And not to discredit, I know this is the longest intro ever, right? Not to discredit the promoters that have paid us money to be there and do live commentary. We appreciate you, continue to do so, but we are always in the red at the end of the year. So yeah, don't think that like we're skipping out on anything here. Anyway, newest episode dropping of Natty News Daily. It's James and Leroy bantering for God knows how long. No, we did a subscriber only Q&A last week. Got a couple questions off of that, and then it really is just you guys like when we catch up and figure out what's going on and what we're seeing in the sport and all of that. So why don't we start off with that? Let's keep it light and fresh. Leroy, how you been, man?
Fucking busy, dude. Yeah, no, life's crazy right now between like you mentioned, right? Having a young little one at home, which is always busy and will only continue to get busier. And we've been in the middle of house renovations for knocking on 9 months now, which is a whole train wreck that I don't want to talk about because it's extremely infuriating. So we're not going to talk about that.
Got it.
Um, yeah, clients crazy. This time of year, it really picks up. I think this is this coming weekend will be quiet, and then after that, it's 7 weekends in a row with shows. A couple of them overlapping, just with different federations, with the CPA, the OCB, the WNBF. So just managing all that is crazy. Next weekend, actually, I have people competing in the East Coast on the Saturday, West Coast on the Sunday which actually I thought was the same day. So thankfully that's not the case because that was going to be an obnoxiously early day and late night. And yeah, just doing the damn thing, man. Still doing bodybuilding stuff as well, but that's kind of on autopilot. I don't really think about those things
Yeah,
much.
at this point in your like career as a bodybuilder, that's just something you do, right? Especially you, like you don't change your food like literally ever, and you always train. So like that's bodybuilding to a T, right? Like eat, train, sleep. Cool. Like people I think they stress way too much about like, oh, like can I be a good bodybuilder? Oh, blah blah blah, this and that. It's just like, dude, just eat and work out and like stop stressing so much about every single little detail. I forget
Yeah.
which client I was talking about with it, and they were worried about like when I retire from bodybuilding and like, or I'm gonna hang up bodybuilding. It's like, are you gonna stop lifting or you stop eating? Because like
Never eating
that's
protein again.
yeah, it's like that's really all it is. Like you can stop competing for sure, but like these habits are things we're all going to continue to do to some degree, right? It might not be to the same degree,
Yeah.
but like and you see it, and I've actually had some conversations with a certain, you don't even know this, a certain retired bodybuilder who is thinking about coming back, and it's because like for natural guys especially, you can retire and still be completely in shape. So like retirement always has an asterisk to it, like in my mind, because like they're gonna come back eventually. They're gonna get bored.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, hell, you've threatened to retire like what, four times now?
Yeah, I got it. I'm the first early 30s potential retiree in bodybuilding history. I just get tired at the end of prep, dude. That's all it is.
Well, yeah, we all do. But you just go on a you go on a rant. And you're like, I'm gonna be functional, and it's like no one's stopping you from being functional, bro. Like you're still a bodybuilder.
Yeah, yeah. Weird times, weird times. But yeah, no, things are good, man. Things are good.
Good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Awesome. Love to see it. And yeah, hype yourself up a little bit more. You said what, 20 athletes potentially in the WNBF Ontario show? So if you're going to WNBF Ontario, it's pretty much you versus Leroy's entire team. So good luck.
Yeah, the squads, this year that we're just tangenting this whole podcast. We probably won't even answer the questions by the end of this, but
Nope.
this year I was what's the word? I'm going to use the word interested. I was interested to how things were going to play out this year because coming off of 2025, I had a lot of, we'll call them heavy hitters. And you can actually probably attest to this too, because you also had some heavy hitters last year. So, I'm going to miss names. If you listen to this, I don't mention your name. I'm sorry, but just off the top of my head, myself, Ural, Alex, Calvin, just there was a lot of really good talent on the team last year that hit the stage. So coming into this year, we all like those names I just listed and more, we're all like definitely not competing this year. So I was like, I wonder what the 2025, 26, sorry, season is going to look like because I just didn't have a lot of familiar faces that I had been coaching that were competing. And then all of a sudden, like kind of November, December, January rolled around and it was like new face joined the team, new face joined the team. Returning athlete says, you know what, I actually want to compete this year. And I was like, oh, okay, this year, because I thought this year was going to be relatively quiet. Yeah, I was completely wrong. Arguably busier than last year. But what's cool is, I used to put a lot of stock in stats, right? How many wins we had, how many championships we won, and all this kind of stuff. And coming off of last year, those stats were crazy. I had multiple pro cards, placings at worlds, national titles, like the whole 9 yards. And I was like, okay, we're good at this. And then as this year has come along, because I've had so many, not only new clients, new athletes, but first time athletes. So we can assume those stats, those numbers are going to be vastly different than last year. And I was talking to a friend of mine at a show, and I was like, this year is teaching me different ways to define success as a coach. Because if I on paper just go 2025 to 2026, wins, losses, championships, this year is likely going to be a big failure in contrast. But if I say, okay, how many new clients did I get to the stage? How many amazing transformations did I get to the stage? How many clients competed again and improved over last time? Those things are all of a sudden like, oh, yeah, we've got quite the stock of accomplishments this year. And that's been something that I've had to kind of frame my mind around as a coach and be like, okay, like there's not just one way of saying, I'm a good coach or my clients are successful clients and this and that. Because I have clients that, you know, they've lost a ton of weight, they've completely transformed themselves. Did they win? No. But
And they may
uh,
never. That's the thing. I'm looking at
yes,
some of the photos I have on my wall, and this is a debate we could even have, right? You have your pro wall. I was thinking about doing that, right? And for reference, it's all the athletes Leroy's turned pro. It's going to be like three walls here soon, whatever. I was hanging up athlete photos and I didn't want to do that because I was looking at some of these athletes and it's like this guy crushed it. He came from nowhere.
totally.
He wasn't a bodybuilder and he looks phenomenal right now. Did he win a pro card? No. Could he? Maybe, maybe not, but it's like that dude's prep was probably one of the best preps I've seen because he wasn't like I had no expectations for him and he looked amazing by the end of it, right? So it's like
Yeah.
the true litmus is like how much of their maximum potential did I get out of
Yes.
them? And you can't
Yep.
tally that in any column, you know?
No, no. And excuse me, like it's funny you mentioned the pro wall because I started with just like a client wall, right?
Hmm.
And not to this sounds like such a dick thing to say. I was running out of space to put people up.
Yep.
So I was like, I gotta shorten this a little bit. But I totally agree with you, man, because I've had some clients that I've like, man, like you crushed it. You were fourth, but like, dude, you fucking crushed it, you know?
Yep.
And
Yep.
and you're gonna get athletes that um, for every Ural I have, right, who is at any given time a front runner to win, not only win a regional show, but win a national title, get in the mix at a pro show. Like, he was second at his first worlds. Like, for every him, I'm gonna have 10 others that like, dude, if we could like hit first call out at a competitive show, success, you know?
Mhm. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And for all of that, there's also the coaches. Like, this is why I don't really, I posted my stats the other day just because I was getting irked by a couple people doing it. And like, you can pad numbers 1,000 different ways, right? This one person, oh, over 100 class wins last year. Okay, you look at where their athletes are competing, debut and novice classes, how
Yes.
many competitors were there actually? Cool. You want a class of one, you want a class of two. You put 50 debut physique guys into a federation that it's easy, that because they're so distributed. Yeah, cool, awesome. You have all these wins, but like doesn't mean anything. Yeah, and you can mess with numbers, and that's where talk to the client. If we're now on a tangent talking about like coaching quality, ask to talk to the clients, ask to talk to the coach, because all those numbers that people post mean absolutely nothing unless it's like, yeah, Cliff's 200th, whatever
Pro card.
victory,
Yeah.
like, yeah, like 200 pro cards across, especially like the majority of his are in like reputable federations.
And north of a decade, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
the 100 debut class wins in the last 12 months. It's like, okay, like maybe
There's
that's a little sus
something
to invest in.
fishy
Yeah.
there. Yeah. Yeah. Like if there's any stat to put any weight behind it, it's like how many pro wins does this coach have? Because it's not only they're turning them pro, but they're turning them pro, and then these people are now actually winning or placing
Yes.
as a professional. That's something, and it's hard to lie about that. But yeah, it's a whole mess, and I could go on a massive tangent about the coaching industry, but I will not do that because that is not
We're
the
not
goal of
doing that,
today.
James.
Yes, yes,
No.
yes, yes. Reel it back in, breathe. Dan, welcome to the podcast, man. For those
Yeah, Dan's been
listening,
here like 5 minutes.
yeah, for those listening and not watching, Dan jumped in and was just like, "Oh God, here we go." How you been, man?
Pretty good, man.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, yeah.
going through a nice recomp phase here. So, anyways,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's really the topic we're on right now. We were just chatting about like how everyone has been before we get into the questions. So it's very good to see you posting positively about things kind of turning in your favor here. I would assume from a health and hormone standpoint, but obviously from a physique standpoint as a byproduct of that as well.
yeah, the physique thing is the leading indicator. The hormonal stuff, like subjectively, I don't know. It probably hasn't been much change, but like the physical changes have been like borderline unbelievable, like wacky.
Hmm. Yeah. And that's
Wacky. Like
obviously not, yeah, wacky
yeah.
is a good term.
The
It's
rate
not.
of gain I've seen, like I've put on 3 or 4 pounds in the last 3 or 4 months and gotten leaner. Like I'm like over a pound a month of lean gains, like
So
Boiler,
what do
Dan's
you,
enhanced.
pound and a half.
I
I don't
was gonna
know.
say, what are you really taking then, Dan? We know you went through this whole
Yeah,
protocol overhaul. What's the secret sauce here?
well, it's not some of my hormones, so
Yeah,
Dan goes to the doctor and he's like, my test is low. Give me a gram a week.
it's
yeah, I'm
just
low key
he,
running a gram. It
it's
feels
just
like it, man.
it's just replacement, bro. Now, what probably happened is you stopped taking something that was freaking toxic for you because you pulled everything out of your system, and now you're healing finally. And that is,
Maybe I have other speculations, but yeah, that's yeah.
I'm gonna blame the supplement industry because it's easy to do
I
that
think
because
it's yeah
it's
other
so
things, but
unregulated.
yeah,
But no, very good, very good. Glad to hear that. So yeah, and myself, I'm just doing the same stuff, right? I just got back from Leicester, I think is how you actually pronounce it, hanging out with Lee and the UK DFBA crew and all of our, the Global Cup crew. That was fun. That was a really fun trip. Getting to see Mitch Jarvis compete in person, getting to see Susan Frigg and Heather compete as like some of the, I mean, top two women's bodybuilders in the
yeah,
world.
they look
I mean,
phenomenal. Yeah,
stupid good. I mean, just it was awesome. Moderately sized show, but every athlete there, because of the way that it was run, like you had to qualify to be there. So like Denmark put 23 athletes in the show, and like every single one of them would have just swept the show over here. You just look across and you're like, holy shit! Like, how is this possible? Um, and that's why I love doing those shows, going to those shows because you see like just the quality and also the variability in countries, right? So we had like a French representative team there as well, not as large as the Danish, right? I think that's just like DNA and genetics, but shredded, right? But then like the Danes are just like big people, and then like the UK bring their own. Like it's so cool to see the different geography come into play when you get a true international show like that. It's fun.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah. Then got jet lagged to hell and back coming back here and then had to jump right back into work. So I have recovered now.
Man, I remember when we went to that Denmark show, like man, I was so fucked for like a minute when we got back. Even when we got there, like because we kind of landed and didn't stop for probably 12 hours straight. Like, man, I was so beat.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't realize it, but I think going back is always the worst. Like getting there, I was a little bit tired, but for us on the East Coast, it's always an overnight flight. So it's like maybe I'll sleep a little bit. Most of us don't, but at least you get there and it's the morning, midday. But leaving, you leave in the morning, you fly all day, you get home at night, and but it's not night and it should be later. And it's just, yeah, it was like 4 days of me just like not functioning well at all and just over caffeinating. But that's also my typical anyway.
Yeah, that's not
Did you
new for
find any
you.
cool energy drinks over there?
I had one. What was it called? Amy Lee's wife bought me two. You talk about over caffeinating, right? I was crashing. I'd had like three coffees. No, I had had two coffees. Did I have an energy drink already? Maybe or maybe not. And then I was like, I'm crashing. I need something. And she went to the store, got me two energy drinks and like a cappuccino. And I drank the cappuccino
Wolf
and the energy
fisting.
drink. Yeah, I didn't drink both the energy drinks though. But yeah, that was definitely like a 800 milligram day. Um, Relentless, it might have been called. It seemed like it was kind of one of those like cheaper, like they've been around for forever type energy drinks. It tasted good. It was fruit punch flavored. So yeah, I didn't do the full review on that one because I was in the midst of interviews and all the fun stuff with that. But yeah, great,
Boy.
great experience. And we'll be going back next year. We've already got plans in place for it next year, as well as some other fun stuff down the pipeline for that. So good times, good times.
Where would you put Mitch in the mix of some of the best guys that you've seen?
So like just overall bodybuilding scoring
Yes.
or like, yeah. And so here's the thing. There's some people I haven't seen in person that I think would probably like Fabian, not Fabian. What was his name? That just went enhanced last year.
Julian?
No, not Julian, but he's also one of them.
Julian
Fareed,
Brewski or
who
Sam
is
Hartman?
last name Fareed. His first name was an F as well. He
Oh,
competed
Oh, I
WMEF.
know who you're
yeah,
talking about. I know who you're talking
Fabian.
about.
Was it
Fabian, yeah.
Fabian? Fabian Farid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like guys like that I haven't seen in person, so it's hard to judge. But if I'm putting him in a lineup like we've seen at Mr. America, Levi Burge, Mishak, Bada, I think the flow of Mitch beats out someone like Bada, who might be more heavily muscled. I still think he probably loses to someone like Mishak because he's just such a like freak across all categories.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mitch is one of those where like I was talking with him fully clothed and I know what he looks like and you're like, oh, he looks, similar. And I don't want to like compare, but like Leroy, where it's like when you're wearing clothes, it's like, yeah, he's somewhat of a shorter guy,
He's
but like
so small.
you could tell he works out, but it's not like, when we saw Magnum backstage at the Yorton Cup, Dan, it's like
Yes.
that's a big man and he's a big man,
Yeah.
right? Mitch is like, yeah, this guy probably works out. And then he takes off his stuff and you're like, what is that? Right? Lats just expand out, no waist, beautiful flow, even conditioning head to toe. He's definitely one of my top five physiques I've seen in person, is what I will say.
So
Um,
is he the best natty classic physique? Hmm. So
he,
you got Mitch against um Yorton Cup. What's his name? What's his
I
name?
would, I would
Damien?
say Damien.
Damian
Yeah,
Dawson.
Mitch and
Okay.
Damien would be
And then
Like a Matt
Prosper.
Tally.
No,
Prosper.
Prosper is the Ben Weider
Prosper.
champ. So you
Yeah.
got those three. That's your three goats.
I would
I
love to see
think,
Prosper in person.
yeah, and that's again, it's tough to say from like photos. I would say Mitch is one of the most well balanced people I've ever seen, right? You can normally see in somebody, it's like, legs are a little bit too big, or waist is just a little bit off, arms a little small. Like, there's no real weak points that you can pick
He's so
out.
complete from what I can tell. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just that beautiful balance of like not overly conditioned, but still full, great taper, but like the definition of symmetry. Also, great dude, right? Like I want to say that too. Like amazing conversations with him. Seems like a really, really awesome guy. Um, but yeah, it was fun to see him in person.
He like truly reminds me of like a classic physique.
Mhm.
When I look at like this is no shade, but when I look at like Damien and Prosper, they're still like big. Whereas like Mitch, I just look at his physique and I'm like, that looks just this beautiful. Like I'm gonna use the word beautiful, beautiful, classic. You know, he can get granite hard, but when he's even not fully there, everything just looks nicely, like you said, like nicely put together, peaked biceps, good roundness to the quads, nice flaring lats. Like I've been a Mitch fan for a long time, and I just think like if there's a physique that like I could go around the mall and be like, y'all think this looks good? Everybody would be like, that guy looks good.
Yeah.
Because I think the other guys, again, like, no shade, but like people would be like, that's kind of borderline too big. Whereas I think Mitch, like, you put him in Men's Health magazine on a beach, people are gonna be like, that looks good. He reminds me
Yeah.
of like OG Steve Cook days. You know what I mean? That like
Yeah.
just
I
look
could
just
see
looks
that.
good. Just looks
Yeah.
good. Maybe he's pretty handsome too. I think people like handsome people. So I think that's a good selling feature for Mitch.
Mhm.
Shout out Mitch.
Yeah, yeah. We're just this is the Mitch podcast now.
Yeah, yeah, big fan of Mitch.
Well, there's a reason that he's like winning and or placing top three in enhanced shows as a classic competitor, right? Like
Yeah,
he is very classic. The day before the DFBA Global Cup, he competed in the NABA
the
show
Naba. Yeah,
and took second to someone who like just straight up had 40 pounds of muscle on top of him. So I was like, well, okay, there's only so much that his shape can, carry him. But he could walk into any show in classic or bodybuilding, I think, and do well, other than like open enhanced, shows. So like in any classic show anywhere and any natural pro show, he's top two in my opinion, unless it's like the best of the best goats that we've ever seen, and that's just not going to happen on a stage anymore. Yeah,
we love you, Mitch.
we do. We do. We do.
You know
All
what?
right.
I would put Mitch one more compliment for Mitch.
Okay.
I would put Mitch up there for me with Brian Whitaker.
As
Brian
like
Whitaker
your
just
list of just like favorite bodybuilders.
yeah. I would put Brian for like bodybuilding. I would put number one for me. Just like the I can relate to him as a lightweight bodybuilder that like might do okay at this sport. And then I'm gonna put Mitch from like a classic flow, aesthetic, good looking physique. That's my two. If anybody wants to know what my top two are, those two.
There you go. There's gonna be a
There you
lot
go.
of people hating on that comment probably. What about this person? What about this? Who
They're
cares?
they're behind them.
Yeah, it's Leroy's top two. It's the final
That's right.
say.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
cut.
All right.
All
So
right.
questions. We have two main questions. We'll make sure we get to them. We got half an hour. That'll be plenty of time, unless we tangent, which we always do. First one. I feel like we get asked this every single time we do a Q&A. What are our plans for competition? Right? Dan's are probably not even thought of at this point. Leroy, I want to ask you because, like we joked about earlier, you've threatened to retire 1,000 different times. But
Dude, I
After
was
every
retired
season, he
20 minutes
threatens to
ago.
retire.
yeah, I could
I'm
tell
done.
with I could tell with the way you're posting, you're getting it. You're
Oh,
getting
I'm
the itch
itching.
back.
Dude,
You're getting
I
the itch
could
back.
prep now.
I know you could. I can tell, and I can tell in your posts when that starts to come back, and it's
Oof.
there now.
Oh,
So,
baby.
what's the ticker saying right now?
All right. So on my drive to work today,
It's very
this is
fresh.
serendipitous. This is why this podcast lined up the way it did. So I was driving to work and I was like, what's left for me to do? Or what do I
Mhm.
want to do? Right. And I was thinking about it and I was pondering like what's left for me in the sport that I would like to check off. And then today I see on Instagram, I shared it on my story, this guy that posted, why he chased down three different pro cards. And you scroll through his post. So it was NABA, IFBB, and PCA. Don't know the gentleman that posted it, but it's on my story as of right now. And you scroll through the slides, and it was like, his reasons for each one. This one meant to him because this is the bodybuilding scene he grew up with, and then this one meant to him because this is the IFBB pros were the ones in the magazines and blah blah blah. So he had different reasons for that. And I was like, and the moral of his post was like, not that one is better than the other or this, that, and the other, but they have like different meanings and different, you know, intrinsic values, right? And I was like, man, natural bodybuilding especially has so much to offer in its different places, different federations. And I was like, man, it'd be really cool to step on like maybe not every logistically, but like as many big stages as possible. So off the top of my head, I'm thinking WNBF Worlds, Mr. America, OCB Yorton Cup, um, likely the DFBA's biggest stage, uh, NBW, because also like I'm thinking about production value and stuff like that. So,
Yep.
Canadian nationals within the CPA, the Ben Weeder. So I'm thinking, okay, there's like 5 or 6 stages, like literal stages, that I would ideally probably like to step on at some point. I'm not talking about winning, right? Because I know where I stand in the spectrum of things at these big shows. Like maybe if there's a lightweight class, I can kind of knock on the door, but like an overall at these big shows, like you put me next to like Babacar, nope. You put me next to Professor, nope. I am cool with that. But to be an athlete who can step on a big stage, to be capable of that, I think is super cool. Um, this is obviously like we're talking multiple seasons, so I definitely have to like threaten retirement at least probably 6 more times before these all happen.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think that would be super cool. Selfishly, like I hope there's some space where the three of us are on stage together, so we can hit a most muscular and I can frame that.
You're acting like we're that old. We're not that old. We will step
No,
on
but
stage at
I'm
some
just
point.
saying. But like
I'll YOLO a
logistically.
prep. I'll YOLO a prep tomorrow if you tell me to. Fuck it.
But logistically, so that's super cool. From a goal standpoint, like accomplishment wise, I think IFBB Pro Card is probably the thing that floats around in my head quite a bit, and then I got to crack at WNBF Worlds at some point and see what happens there. Those are kind of the two like I would say placement things I'm kind of knocking on. But the
What
rest is kind of
WNBF
like.
Worlds? I know your goal, but
Yeah, WNBF Worlds, like, see, the problem is it's all about how they split the weight classes, man. They put me in like a lightweight up to 165. Like now I'm chilling up there with Eddie. Like,
What-
fuck.
here's the thing that you keep mentioning when you compare yourself to athletes, it's always bodybuilders, but we also know you're a very good, arguably potentially better classic athlete. Now that WNBF has classic, I would say, I mean, jump into the classic worlds, man. I know that it doesn't have the same title and you've been chasing, like, that's what we've all been watching growing up for forever, but might be more competitive there, in my opinion.
Yeah, the thing is, like, because I was chatting with Cliff about this, was like, yo, what do you think? And he was like, if if they had a bantam that we squeezed you under 150, because I can, and then carb up to like 160, because I can. Like that bodybuilding class is probably my best bet. You know what I mean? If they, this year for Worlds, like when Ural did it, it was up to one. I think they did a 150 and under, or no, it was 155 and under. I think,
Okay.
which that can fit me, right?
Hmm.
Um, but if they make it like a 165, again, we're talking pro Worlds. 165 for me would be an uphill battle for sure, because we're talking probably if they're my height or even less and 10 pounds heavier, 12 pounds heavier of muscle. That's a hard one to swing at no matter how good my shape is, right? With classic, like I don't disagree with you that I can maybe shape it with the best of them up there. Not the best of them. That's such a dick thing to say. Um, I can be in the mix, but the problem is if they don't reward conditioning as much, But again, we're talking at the pro level that likely the guys are going to be all conditioned anyways in bodybuilding, so my conditioning probably won't matter. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see as the time comes, right? And kind of we've chatted about it behind the scenes where it's like that last little bit is kind of what hurts me. That's why I threaten retirement because those last couple pounds. So in classic, like maybe I don't have to do that. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. I would say the next go around, I think I'm probably gonna go for Worlds. But this is my fantasy scenario. This is my fantasy scenario. So in Canada now we have the another natural IFBB Pro qualifier at West, and it's like the first or second week of October. So my fantasy scenario is I qualify for that. I do that show, Calgary Pro, and Worlds in like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
What a run.
That's a tight
Just to
timeline,
take
which
it.
would work. Yeah.
That's the best case for me, though. That's the best
Hmm.
case scenario is I get in and get out. I'd have to qualify in something early, which whatever. I just need a top three, okay, at a
Hmm.
regional. That's fine. And then kind of just like, all right, Cliff, full send. We're doing a generational run here. Let's see what happens. So I don't know. That would be kind of like my kind of fantasy booking of the next season is that.
When's the last time
But
you did a fall season?
I've never done a fall season. The latest
That
season I've
yeah.
ever done was this past season, was Nationals in August, right? I've always done that earlier season. And that's the thing too, right? Is like fall is all the big stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you even look at that timeline right there. It's like, well, frig, Mr. America's right there. Like what's that week? But that overlaps with something else likely. So
Yeah.
that's kind of tricky. And travel and stuff is another thing that like I've never traveled far like via plane. Well, I could drive to Mr. America, but these other shows we're talking about flights and stuff, which I've
Yeah.
never done. Um, I've done once, but it doesn't count because old me. Um,
Overseas, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I guess that's kind of the only other thing. Man, I'm talking too much. I'm sorry, guys. Um, is what like the show I did last year, like Nationals. That's kind of like that's home.
Mhm.
I had a lot of people there. Well, Dan, you were there, right? Like that, you know, like goosebumps. Just the volume, not only like auditorily, but like just internally, like in that room of the amount of people that were like just there for me, win, lose, or draw. Like that meant a lot. So to win it there would be like core memory unlocked type shit. But it's competitive and it's now open international, which is what screwed me last year. But Freed, you beat me fair and square. Love you, man. Um, but yeah, so I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. So no set timeline necessarily, but you're feeling the itch and you have a rough outline in your brain of how you want it to look.
Yeah, if
Let's
Carrie's not
say
going to listen to this. Carrie's not going to listen to this. She won't know. Yeah, I would love. I think fall next year would be kind of nice, but I just logistically 99.9% of it not going to happen.
Yeah.
So 2028 would probably be the like earliest,
Mhm.
which kind of mimics 3 years for me. That tends to be a standard 22, 25, 28. So
yeah.
we'll see. We'll see.
What do you think that'd be like with the volume of coaching you do?
So that's tricky because the thought of prepping right now with everything I have going on with clients and stuff, like last year was manageable. And maybe it's just because this year there's so many newbies that I'm like just in touch with a bit more. And there's just that little bit more
Yeah.
like mental bandwidth of like, y'all need me right now because you haven't experienced any of this. You have these questions that like I totally understand. So the volume of workload right now is a lot. So I would probably have to kind of pivot that a little bit less for the season that I compete again. But it's not even so much the workload, it's the family load. And James, you can attest to this, right?
Yeah.
Like by the time I compete again, the likelihood of me having a second child is very high. Um, so I prepped with one last year who was young and busy, and then you add in now potentially like a 3 year old and a newborn, like that changes everything, right? And that's just the
It
reality of it.
there's like a sticky period of time where things just don't seem to work out well. but like I feel like I mean obviously I have a 1.5 year old, a 3 year old, so they're still in this phase. But like my 5 year old now, she's at school during the middle of the day, and she's also at an age where she's asking to come to me or come to shows with me. So like that's kind of a cool new adventure, which almost excites me more to prep so that I can like
Yeah.
kind of do it with her a little bit. So I think in a couple years, it's not going to be as much of a logistical worry. It's going to be more like, can we go do a family vacation? Like, all right, let's go do a show in Florida and then, go to Disney World after. It just becomes fun at that point. But yeah, the when they're younger, it's tough
Yeah,
because
like I
there's no
think
there's no regularity to anything. You know that.
no, no. Like, sleep and t I have a home gym and I'm like watching the clock. Like, can I train today because life's just busy. You know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
maybe it's like, okay, maybe this off season is not 3 years, it's 5 and 6. But then after that, like you just said, James, like, kids are older, and then it's like, okay, maybe it is an every other year competition season because you're able to like get your ducks in a row a bit more. And I would like to eventually get to a point where I can chill maybe 15 above stage weight. Like Mitch, maybe you can attest to this. Like I feel like Mitch kind of tends to stay relatively lean. That like maybe you're at any given time, you're like 12 or 14 weeks out and you're like, okay, I'm gonna jump in because I'm within striking distance. Like right now, I don't even look that bad, but I'm 30 over. Like I can't
Yeah.
just like jump into prep and be like, yeah, I'll be ready in 12 weeks. Like that's just not how we roll around here. So,
Mhm.
maybe in the future that's kind of how I approach my bodybuilding is that like the off seasons are a lot more contained within a prep timeline, just knowing that like avoiding those 25 to 30 week preps would be a bit more manageable to accommodate my family and living
Yep.
while also pursue bodybuilding to the degree I want it to, right? Because then you're not taking half of a year to prep for a show and recover for a year and then half of a year. So now all of a sudden it's like, okay, it's taking me 10 years to what I could maybe do in 5 if I just
Yeah.
approached it differently, you know?
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. All right, Dan, have you? I'm gonna ask you the question because it was the question asked of the group. Have you put any thought into competing, or you're just still like head down? I got to get this stuff figured out. I got to get back on track with everything.
Have I put some thought into it? Yes. But it's definitely been secondary priority. I think at the earliest would probably be 2028.
Well, that's two
Um,
now. That's two
could be.
28s. One more.
I'm gonna I'm gonna burst your bubble. So
Love
you
it.
say so 28, same kind of concept, Dan. Are you kind of where you're at? You're like, all right, there's a couple big stages I want to hit. Like you're not chasing any additional pro cards, right? You won your WNBF pro card. That was kind of the one that was the big one for you. Now you just want to kind of like go test it, right?
Yeah, and that's, in addition to me sorting my physical thing out, which does seem to be resolving, at least physically. I feel like I'm at least somewhat matching what I've done in the past or what I've been in the past. So hopefully progressing from there. But yeah, I'm also just like looking at the landscape, and I don't know exactly what I want to shoot after. I don't know if I want to maybe go after an IPB Pro card. Do I want to do Worlds? Do I want to do other WNBF Pro shows? I want to do Mr. America. I will do Mr. America,
Hmm.
assuming I do a fall season, which I likely would. Um, but yeah, I don't have like super tangible goals. I mean, coming out of last season, I kind of was like, I don't want to say lost, but like I open-ended. But yeah, it's still a little open-ended. I just see so much shifting in the natural bodybuilding landscape, especially with like the NPC and that all transpiring. So um yeah, and especially with at least 2 years until I compete. Uh, I have a
It could be
feeling that
dramatically different at that
it
point.
could
Yeah.
be different. I don't know. Maybe I'll go international. Maybe there's I don't know for 100% certain, but haven't put like a ton of depth of thought into it.
Hmm.
Um,
Cool. Cool.
And you,
Yeah. Yeah. I
sir?
mean, this is gonna be the fun one. So I have verbally committed now to competing in the spring of 27. Haven't registered for anything, obviously, because we're still far out
Starting
from
prep
there.
now.
Pretty soon.
Soon.
I'm relatively lean right now. So goal is to continue to kind of like main gain, recomp, reverse, get food up until August. Diet hard, coast through the holidays because I do like to eat still. So I'll get lean, pretty much pre-prep until the holidays, cruise through the holidays until New Year, and then hit a prep starting the new year, which should be easy. It should be the last like 10 pounds starting in the new year. Competing, and this kind of full circle, Leroy, to what you were talking about. Like this prep, I'm not chasing cards to chase cards. I'm finishing business that I started is kind of the way I'm doing it. And I want to start building to something bigger in the future. So first show that I'll be doing is the OCB New York State. Well, it's like what their Big East Natural or whatever. It's the spring version of the New York State Natural because I've competed in that.
Uh,
I
Team
gotta,
Rollins versus James.
I gotta finish it, man. I gotta. That was I did. So for reference, my first show in 2017 was the November show there in Syracuse, and then I ran it back and I did the spring show that next year, and then I took a year off and did the spring show again. So I've competed in those shows three different times and taken second place like every single time. So I gotta crack it, take a crack at that again.
That's like
Get
my WNBF thing. I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. Like I can't not compete there when I'm competing because I gotta win there because that's where it all started. Um,
Bodybuilding or classic?
Classic. This season all classic because I can manage that so much easier. Now, if I like just happen to continue to get leaner without like having to kill myself, I will do that. But my goal is I know what I look like at certain weights that very closely fits the classic category, and I can get there with a lot more relative ease. And that's what I'm going to do, just to prioritize health and balance and all of that. And I just think like I could potentially be a little bit better as a classic competitor because once I do that final dig for bodybuilding conditioning in the lower body, I lose all my fullness in my upper body. So if I can keep that upper body fullness, I look pretty good. So April kicks it off. And then I want to support Ryan with the ANBF with his Northeast Classic because he has some badass rings and all the other hardware and all the photos and stuff that come out of that. And because ANBF is the American DFBA affiliate right now, because my final goal, we have talked, we being Natty News Daily, other groups, the DFBA, about there's a scarcity of American or at least North American athletes that travel abroad to compete. The assumption is that athletes from international always have to come here. I have athletes on my roster and other athletes I've spoken with that have a desire to go abroad. So I would like to take a team to the DFBA Global Cup next June. The location will be announced soon. It will be in Europe. Um, to compete myself if I feel like I warrant that. I want to feel like I belong on that stage. Otherwise, I'll just go and take my own athletes. But that is kind of like pipe dream. Everything goes well. I compete in OCB. I win that pro card. I go to the Northeast Classic. I'll see if I probably will compete as an amateur there again, just to say that I've like earned that pro status with them, even though they honor all pro statuses. We'll see. I'll make that decision depending on how I look. And if I can do well in those two shows, then I will compete in the DFBA Global Cup and kind of truly test myself internationally and probably get smacked around a little bit, but have fun doing it. Because yeah, I just like,
Sweet.
we talk about like nobody goes international. Well, somebody has to be the first person to do it. And I have multiple athletes on my roster who are high level athletes that want to go international. So I'm just going to lead the charge. So here's a nice sales pitch. If anybody wants to compete internationally, contact me because the DFBA Global Cup is going to happen and there will be American athletes attending it for sure. So yeah, that's kind of it. And then who knows if I'm still healthy and alive at that point, and the finances recover 2028, sure, I'll compete with you guys. Why not?
You got all the way till fall, so you got lots of time.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm just going classic. I could recover from that, right? Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, that's what I want to do. It's been long enough. I've been away, what, since 24. 2027 is my 10th year competing since 17 was my first one. So it's like the 10-year anniversary. Hopefully we finish up, the business with the OCB. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. But again, there's lots of things changing. And I kind of just I'll test things out as it goes, but I will be competing next year somewhere at some point.
Are you hiring a coach?
Nope. Nope. All me.
Ooh, all in.
Yeah, I got to prove it to myself, right? I've had this debate with myself multiple different times, and I feel like the desire to hire someone has been there multiple times, but never because I didn't feel confident that I could do it myself, more so that I was, well, no, I guess it is because I didn't feel confident. I was doubting myself, and I need to learn to trust myself, I think, because enough athletes have done it, and I've gotten results for enough athletes. And I know there's like the whole objectivity, subjectivity when it's yourself and in prep, but I kind of want to just do it myself. That way, if anything happens, it's on me, it's on my shoulders. I can make the calls in the moment. Um, I think it'll be better for me, honestly.
Yeah. I get asked far too often, like, why I don't coach myself.
Yeah. I mean, I did it for reference. Like I did it for my first 3 or 4 shows. I prepped myself through my first one, did very well. Like, I'm an educated person. Do I make irrational decisions sometimes? Yes. Hopefully I'm learning from that. And I'm going to build some systems in place where I am actively checking in with myself. Similar to how Cliff does it, right? Like he sends himself an email, he reviews his own
Yeah,
data he's talked about that. I'm going to do that, and I have a couple people. Lee Kemp is actually going to keep some eyes on me. We're going to be discussing some things back and forth. He's going to help me out in that regards, but ultimately, like all the decisions will be on me.
very cool, man. Look forward
Yeah,
to
Where are you
seeing it
sitting at
unfold.
physically comparative to 24?
my upper body feels thick as a brick, which is very exciting. I'm 190, and it's the leanest 190's ever looked. I think my 190 right now looks very comparable to like mid to low 180s has in the past, but with like more thickness through like lats, which has been necessary, arms, which has been necessary, chest for sure. It's still weaker than I'd like it to be, but it's, way improved from where it has been. And part of it too is like I'm just gonna have to see, right? Because I mean, Leroy, you can confirm this. Like last off season, I was definitely bigger looking, but I don't feel like my physique really comes to life until I'm like 10 pounds above. And then it's like, oh my gosh, like we did improve because I just hold body fat in such ways where I just, it's kind of
Yeah,
like, you kind of grew. And then as the lines start to come in, it's like, oh, there it is.
yeah.
So
Sweet, sweet. Well, 99% chance I'll be there in person, so I can't fucking wait, dude.
yeah, 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 yeah. I'm excited. Um, and we'll be in touch through all that. And I'll be giving updates. I'm not going to go like, ooh, ghost mode, right? Like nobody ever does it. They say they're going ghost mode, then they post about going ghost mode, and it's like, okay, so we know you're prepping. Uh, all right. So the other question, because we only have a few minutes here, we can go a little bit longer. So Adrian Lecommander and I were talking at the DFBA Global Cup. He's for those that don't know, look him up. He's a phenomenal French athlete. Took second place in Classic. I believe he's taken second place in European Championships or PNBA Worlds, one of these other title shows. Wonderful flow to his physique and his posing routine. He actually posted it recently, and I would encourage people to go look at it. It's awesome. I think we might have even shared it. Um, his question to me was, did I think there was a place specific for classic physique to both score and judge actual posing, not just like did they execute the pose, but to like encourage a flair of classic posing in the mandatories, not require, but encourage, and maybe give extra points for those that embrace it and have additional, posing prowess, and to judge the actual routines in classic. So I want to pose that question to you guys. I know my thoughts, obviously. So Leroy, what do you
Yes,
think?
100% both, for
Stamp
sure.
it.
I think those are the things that make classic physique. Because right now, it is, for all intents and purposes, like bodybuilding light. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? You got different trunks, but at the end of the day, you're not judging posing routines. You're not judging the athlete's flow from pose to pose. Most federations are judging the same poses, just less of them. And you
Yeah.
get one classic pose at the end. So, I think classic is a great thing for the sport. I just think that there's ways to make it better and continue to differentiate and honor those physiques that truly look and represent what it supposedly is supposed to be, which is like that 80s, 90s, like golden era look. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
they, we, as bodybuilding fans look at these athletes and be like, yeah, they look good, but it was always like, look how they pose, look how they transition from pose to pose, look at the flow and artistic form to their physique. But right now, classic physique really doesn't reflect that part of it, right? Which in my opinion, I think is a great part of the physique. You know what I mean? Like, Dan, I'm going to use you for example. I think you're a great WNBF bodybuilding pro, but I don't think your physique represents, because you have an OCB classic physique card, right? I don't
Yeah,
think your physique would represent classic physique. And that's no shade at you. I think that's just an objective look at your physique, but put you
I
in a
agree.
bodybuilding stage. Okay, yeah, so we're on the same page here. So people listening to this, it's not me being a dickhead. Like Dan agrees with me.
I
But
agree.
that's just objectively looking at his physique and being like, you don't fit what if I take a picture of your
Physically
physique,
and like personality wise, like in terms of like the
yeah,
artistic flowy thing, that's not
totally,
really
man.
my thing.
That's not your
I
thing, right? Like if I take
yeah,
your front double and make it black and white, would someone look at it and go, that's a classic physique? No, they'd be like, that's a great bodybuilder. But that's just the physique, right? So to go back to the gentleman that James is talking about, we shared his stuff. Go check out his page. Look at the DFBA Classic Physique Global Cup. I think that is such a brilliant representation of classic physique. And that's what I think the sport, the direction it should go for trying to make classic more classic.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yes. Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
Dan, agree, disagree, different interpretation?
I agree. Judge the opposing rounds. The art and the flow are important. Should be a differentiators between that and especially in the natural side between that and traditional bodybuilding. Yeah,
Yeah.
I say make it, I
Do
don't know,
it.
a third of the score.
Yeah.
Yep. Do it
And
now.
and here's the thing that irritates me because you'll see guys that throw on the classic trunks and they'll do it as an excuse like I don't want to diet down to bodybuilding and then they like half-ass a routine or they don't do a routine or they just pose like a bodybuilder. And it's like you're doing a discredit to the class at that point. And that's what we don't want classic to be, right? It can't just be softer bodybuilding.
No. Or
So
smaller athletes. I hear that all the time, right? Like, oh, I'm not very big. I'll just do classic. It's like, dude, you're gonna go get spanked in classic physique. You could be a great lightweight or a great bantamweight,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because I'm sorry, you have small rib cage and wide hips. You're not classic. I'm sorry.
No. No, it's not about size. And if anything, some of the classic guys I think are bigger than your average open bodybuilder in the natural realm, just because of where they hold their weight, right? Massive torsos, big chest, big arms, not as much in the legs, so they just look so top heavy. Yeah, yeah. So, and what frustrates me the most is you have someone like I'll bring up Silas, right? Friend of the page, Retro Lord. You got Silas, you've got like Adrian, who we're talking about. These guys that dedicate so much time to posing routines and making it a true art. And other than like having a cool video, they don't get rewarded for that. Like that is being a professional. They are dedicating their time to improving their craft and their sport. Like that is the definition of professionalism across any sport, right? Versus the guy who just goes out, hits one pose, and then walks off. And they don't get penalized either. So the way I think this honestly could work, and there may be people who disagree, is in the mandatory rounds, you are encouraged to hit classic variations. That does not have to be, this is your classic variation. Because you look at any classic lineup, they all hit them slightly differently based on their physique and what showed their physique best. So you give different options. You can hit it like this, this, this. We're going to judge just the overall package you have. Um, and I think even in those mandatory rounds, there could be a category on the scorecard that's, how classic did they present themselves, right? Did they match the category? Yes, no. Zero is kind of on average. Negative one's like this dude's just an open bodybuilder that's way too shredded with massive legs and no upper body. Plus one is like, cool, they're super classic. You could do the same thing with a routine, right? Give benefit to the people that go out of their way to be exceptional at posing. They get an additional score. Don't necessarily penalize the people that aren't as expressive with it because we also know like there's people that just they're not as coordinated. They can't necessarily do it, but a judge
Yeah,
can
but
tell
they
like,
learn. But that I see. I disagree with that because I think that's part of what makes classic physique. They were like, oh, it's not a dance competition. Okay, but that's part of what you need to learn. If you
mm,
don't want to learn how to pose in an artistic, we'll use the term classic manner, you're gonna get docked for it. Like they
So,
all put the
Compete in
time and
open
effort.
bodybuilding where
Go,
where
yeah,
you're
yeah. You
judged by
can,
the
okay.
quarter turns.
yeah. Like
Okay. I was
we
trying to be nicer. I was trying to be nice with
no.
this. You were
I
just like
just I just think it's again like it's cushioning the separation of the divisions, right? Like if we're saying that like this is what we want classic physique to represent, it's like, well, I shouldn't get docked for not knowing how to pose. What?
yeah.
What are you talking about? That's what this is. Like, you should be docked for sure.
Where I was going with it was like there's people that try and just aren't quite there yet, right? And maybe
Well,
for
they better
them it
keep
maybe
fucking trying.
hear me out. Hear me out. Maybe for them it's a neutral score versus the person that comes out, hits like three most musculars, walks off
To
stage.
like to
They get a
thunderstruck.
negative. Yeah, like that guy's
Yeah,
not classic. He's not even trying. He gets docked. But the person that comes out, they try and do it. Maybe they stumble through the routine, but they're doing their best. Like, all right, cool.
totally.
You're like, yeah, neutral score for you. You don't get docked, but you also don't get extra points. That way you have kind of a differentiation. But
You
that's me
still have
trying to
the
tease
comparisons too,
people.
right? It's not like
Yeah, like
it
I'm
wouldn't
not
be the
saying
full
it should
score.
make up the full. No, exactly. Like it should be a percentage. Like at the end of the day, the best physique's going to win, even if he dog shits the posing routine. But if there's like that 3 4 5 and fifth place like nails his posing routine, he gets ahead. Like we're not saying that eighth place goes to second place because he
Right.
killed his routine,
Right.
but when we're talking about again what makes classic physique, like if you've got that third place, fourth place guy who nails it, pulls out some Terrence Ruffin shit, and like does this beautiful classic routine, like yeah, you're gonna get rewarded for that because that's what the division represents, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
What would
I think it should be done.
the criteria be with scoring a posing routine?
Because that's so hard, right? Flow. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, you should be able to drop to your knee without snapping your back. Like that's tough, right? Because you have to then decipher like what, okay, posing routine, do they have classic flow? Define classic flow. Frank Zane YouTube. I don't know. Look it up.
Yeah. I mean,
But that's tricky.
just like any of these, right? They all have to have a definition. And we like someone says symmetry. We all know what that is, but that can mean 1,000 different things, right? It's because it's been ingrained in the industry long enough where you say symmetry as a bodybuilder, we're like, "Ah, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I know how to judge that. So you could say like flow, and it's just like their fluidity of movement or their poise on stage or something like that. And as long as you define it and train your judges and then train the coaches and athletes to know what that means, it'll eventually, you'll figure it out eventually.
Be like water.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. That's the definition.
Yes, be like water. I have to go. So
Nice.
this was great.
You have to do the outro then.
Is this the end of the podcast then?
Sure, I think
All
so. I
right.
think we covered it.
All right, people. Well, if you enjoyed this lovely episode of the Natty News Daily podcast, I think this was fun. I think people are going to love this. I think people like the banter. I think the days of like, what's your training split and how many protein do you eat? I think that's kind of dead. This
Mhm.
stuff, way more fun. I loved it. Dan and James loved it. If you loved it, like the video, subscribe, stay tuned for future episodes. Shout out to Natty News Daily hitting 35,000 on Instagram today.
Oh
Big
yeah.
milestone for the boys. Shout out Natural Bodybuilding. Shout out to you, Mitch Jarvis, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Did I nail it?
You nailed it. You'll have to cut this because obviously I had it recording the whole time. But yeah, that was beautiful.